I see the episode name STD, and I automatically thought, what did Wags get himself into now? um, Kind of miss that old Wags vibe instead of his muted version in season 6 here. If you've not seen episode 3 yet, there will be spoilers here, so exit out and then come back later after you watch it. I usually try to catch these things Sunday morning while I'm working since they're on demand. Um, unfortunately, Fortunately and unfortunately, the plot's developing. You kind of see what Chuck's got planned here. I got a whole bunch of notes. There's a lot of stuff happening in this episode. Some things I care about, some things I really don't care about. I just don't know if it's going to be a season I'm going to love. It's I backed I kind of like season 1, season 2 type of vibe stuff going on, but there's some stuff in the works here, and I'll talk about some of the things I see and some annoyances to go with it. But right from the get go, they're already talking about SPACs, which is cool. I like when they integrate some of the things that are going on in the real world of Wall Street and the markets into the show. I mean, we saw like cryptos, and we saw different parts of how they brought this things that happened in like the last 9 or 12 months into the show. So that's cool. I got a text from somebody this morning that they also watched the show, and their opinion that what Axe's assistant was far more attractive than Prince's. That's up to you to decide. But a random ad lib here. We learned that Ben Kim's got a big heart, and nothing new. We always knew he kind of not wanted to. He walks the walk of trying to be a decent person, and he's not a killer. And you just see that again in this episode where he's more worried about his friends who are the competition, and it's a business where I think you got to be a killer if you want to really survive in the long run. Even though Prince is trying to do this whole I'm better, we're not going to be killers, well, they keep going back to being killers because that's just who you are at the end of the day. So you saw Ben Kim struggle with that. Maybe you can make it in the long run, but it just seems like that industry is a place where you have to be a killer. And we got the European ex-commissioner guy for the Olympics. You feel like that's the definition of a true influencer. Like we're in this world now where people get 1,000 followers on TikTok and they start referring to themselves as an influencer. It's like, well, what are you really influencing? It's unfortunately most of the people you're seeing that refer to themselves as influencers aren't making the world a better place. And I'm not saying this dude is either. I just feel like this guy has real power. This guy can really influence major moves, obviously. And there's definitely people out there like that are in the political realm and are wrapped up in some of these huge organizations that just have the connections and power to move things. And I know it's a TV show, but people like this do exist out there where they make a phone call and something happens. Kind of going back to Jack Foley. It's these people exist in our society. Maybe not to that extent. It's TV, but there's some very powerful people out there, and you think they're the influencers, not the person on TikTok, right? Let's see what else we get. The Prince line when he's in Krakow's office. Krakow's sitting there with the painting that what's his name painted for him in the last season. Kind of funny, but as Krakow is trying to piss off Prince stands up and he's like, "Hey, I don't go to war like that. I just go to war." And I really like that line because it's a gangster ass line at the end of the day. It reminds me of where I grew up and hanging out in Detroit, getting into trouble. And there's we had that one friend in our crew that always ran his mouth, and he's always the first to get knocked out. He never finished a fight. He always started them. And then you had like the other dudes in the crew that were just quiet, and those are the guys that always cleaned house at the end of the day. So there's that line and some song like "Killers Don't Talk," and you sit back and you be quiet. And for Prince to say that, I just thought that was pretty. That was a gangster line for the show, and we'll see what happens. We get Wags talked about bringing Hall back for a minute, and Scooter shut it down. It's like, man, don't tease me like that. I want to see Hall back because Hall's entertaining. I like the covert, spy type stuff and just crushing people. So I wish we would see more of that. Let's hope Hall comes back. We need that. We got to get him back. What else we got? Oh God! So that part where Sacker's talking to Chuck, and then this is right after they crush Krakow's real estate deals, and Krakow comes like walking in the office. It's an annoyance in the show to me that these people are just always walking into offices that they probably couldn't just walk into, and it always happens to be at the exact right time. And I think you've seen Prince do it, you've seen Bobby do it, Krakow, like it just gets old. It's not real life. I guess it makes for good TV. It's just not realistic. It's Krakow would probably be waiting out in the lobby. But no, I'm just gonna storm in, and Chuck holds a very high office. I'm just gonna walk into this building and storm into his office because we know how that's how that's how it works, right? I don't think so. What else we got here? They brought you saw Dollar Bill and McPhee in this episode a little bit. Makes you realize how much you miss those two. We need more of it. I just don't know how much more you're going to see in the show here. I was hoping we're going to see more of them. This is the cameo. They're going to pop up for this one play that goes on, and then it's over. But those two were really a big part of the show to me. So I hope they come back more. Taylor mentions like anti-fragile when they talking about going to war with Dollar Bill and McPhee. It's I think his last name's Talib. I might be pronouncing that wrong. But he got a couple books, Anti-Fragile, Black Swan, and I think Fooled by Randomness. That might be somebody else. I'm pulling off the top of my head. But those 3 books are great by that author. And if you never read them, definitely check them out. Good stuff. It's like any book. There's things you don't like or believe, and then there's some great content. But there's 3 books I do recommend. It's very common to see that type of stuff referenced in this show. So that was cool. Scooter not having an office just seems stupid to me. Like your Prince's right-hand man and you don't have an office, but Wags does. Like, maybe I missed something because I don't watch these shows. Like, I don't sit down and watch them. I put them on as background noise while I work on Sunday morning. If I missed out on why Scooter doesn't have an office, drop a comment because I don't know. So that whole plot line was just stupid. Do they not have the content to fill up 45 minutes in an episode that we got to worry about this now? I'd rather have something where Wags did go get an STD. That would be more entertaining than Scooter not having an office. And the big play was for Wags to give up his office and then go back to the floor and win over the people. And this is just stupid at this point. I mean, we can do better than this, right? What do we got next? Wendy goes over, tries to talk to Dollar Bill and McPhee after Ben Kim goes and talks to Wendy, and then Dollar Bill and McPhee don't believe her because, look at all the psyops and crap that went on over the years. It's like, why would she just show up and, like, I'm here to do something good-hearted? McPhee already got played once from Wendy, if you think about it. So it's, they don't end up believing her, and then they get crushed. So there's been so much forkery going on in 6th season. I don't think anyone trusts anybody anymore. Everyone's lying, cheating, stealing, and doing whatever they can to make a buck. So at some point, everyone's been stabbed in the back, and no one trusts anyone anymore. Prince crushes the SPAC, and then he comes down like, hey, you can see the morale of the team's down, and he's like, I don't want to be that way. But again, it's the same thing where Prince is doing the same thing Chuck does, where it's I'm gonna do bad to do good, and I'm gonna do bad to do good, and they don't care like how evil they are. They don't care if they're doing things illegal or not legal. They'll set traps, they set people up, and they don't care as long as they make themselves believe or rationalize some way, somehow, or justify that whatever they're doing is for the greater good. And I'm really getting tired of, I've been tired of that Chuck beating that drum of, I'm going to do terrible things for the greater good. It reminds me of everyone I've ever ran into in life that's always telling you they want to change the world or they act morally superior. that they're on this like greater plan or cause to just make the world a better place, but they're always doing terrible things. But they think it's okay to do those terrible things because it's for good. And I think that's partly why our society's a mess right now. We we, as human beings, we can find a way to justify anything, anything, if you sit there long enough and think about it. It's someone I went and did this because someone did this to me. Like it's not that hard to just find a way to justify the terrible things we do. What else we got? Taylor at the end, and with McPhee at the restaurant, thinking that hey, it's we're just gonna crush each other in a basketball court and then sit down and have a drink together, and it's not that way. McPhee's pissed. He should be, and it's just how it is. And Taylor's got that completely emotionless type of vibe going on, and it feels like it's the same thing they might have done. Not same, but similar with they didn't do it. Bobby did it, but you got to imagine that's how Oscar felt at some point too. And now you got McPhee feeling a similar type of way, and it's like the whole industry is just. Can you have friends in this industry? It just seems like at some point it all falls apart. But to think that McPhee says, "Hey, you're basically a cyborg. You're sitting there like a robot, emotionless, and you're destroying someone's life." And you're like, the game's the game, which I can't blame Taylor. That's the game. You work for a different firm and you're a competitor, but you're also trying to be friends. Well, how do you do that? It's nearly impossible. Let's see what else we got here. Scooter and Wags teaming up in the end. More storyline I don't care about. That song at the end where I don't know, did he ask Alexa or Siri? Wags asked whatever device to play music, and a song comes on that Scooter likes, and it makes you wonder, like earlier on when Scooter had that thing up on the TV that was like a map of this person's interests, you wonder if Wags already kind of did his own oppo on Scooter and played that song on purpose to try to win Scooter over. It just seems like I get the whole like maybe they got more in common than they think they do, or did Wags set that up? What do you think? Do you think Wags did that on purpose? I don't know. Maybe I'm thinking too far ahead here. What else we got? After they crush that SPAC, Wendy talks to Taylor, and she says a line about Taylor's short game is everyone else's long game. And I try to tell people this all the time, especially when it comes to like careers, investing, starting businesses. It's everyone's all about the short game. You saw it with the Great Resignation and hopping around jobs, and you do all this stuff, and then you watch. They don't want to believe you, but it's like you can go on LinkedIn and go look at people's profiles that do this and see where they end up at 40. You hop around a lot, you make a few more bucks in the short term, but then by 40, your career kind of burns out. Companies value tenure, regardless of what social media tells you. You have no history of sticking around, and you never stuck around long enough to master a skill. So yes, you got to move around for an extra $2,000, $5,000, and all that stuff. But then by 40, your career is burnt out, and you have another 20 years to go. So yes, maybe you made an extra $100,000 by the time you exited college and you went to 40 years old. And that probably because of that way you did that, it ended up costing you $500,000 or more from the time 40 until the time you retired. No one plays a long game anymore. It's instant gratification and just no patience, and you keep moving around. There is no long game anymore. Find someone that has played the short game consistently over decades and has won. If you got some good examples, show me, because I don't know anybody in the business world, in the investment world, in the startup world, anywhere where that mentality, especially with careers of trying to climb into the C-suite, where that has worked. So that was a great line, because I think that's the world today. There is no playing the game for the long anymore. It's all short. So that's a good line. Taylor's short game is everyone else's long game. Couple more notes and then we'll wrap it up here. How did Taylor and Wendy get Spartan Ives to come in and save the SPAC for dollar bill? Like, I don't know. I don't understand enough about that. You just make a couple phone calls and then they're gonna, fund, who knows, it sounds like hundreds of millions of dollars, maybe more. Something just seems like too easy and just off. I don't understand that part. If you understand that, drop a comment, let me know. It just seems like you just don't make a couple phone calls and hundreds of millions of dollars appear for things like that. Let's see what else we have. Close this thing out. Sacker's tone in this episode, I feel like she's getting irritated with Chuck. And I said before, like, I'm just waiting. At some point, she's going to kill the master. And it's, you take your mentor out at some point, right? And she will get tired of his BS, so she's going to throw him under the bus. I don't know what's going to happen in this season or if we get a season 7, but it's coming. And you can just see it building. She's on a different level than him. Chuck's smart. She seems way smarter. And she actually seems like she wants to do good, where Chuck, he's just not a good person. He's the legal, political side of Axe, right? They're cut from the same cloth at the end of the day. So I am waiting for Sacker to cut Chuck's head off at some point here. Let's see. Chuck always reminds himself, so at the end there, when he's standing up on the car and another, like, this is just dumb. Like, he's standing on the car yelling, we're going after the billionaires and these people and blah, blah, blah. And it's annoying because, the whole Rhodes family and their Ivy League school and who his father is and the fact that, Chuck grew up rich. He is rich. He's benefited from every part of living that elite lifestyle, the connections, the wealth, the schools, the elitism at its finest, all the strings getting pulled by his father. And then he's out here complaining about the billionaires. Like, you are that person. You're basically there right now because of who your father was and how you lived and some of the moves you made. And it's like one of those things that it's like those people that get rich, and after they get rich, they're like, yeah, people should pay more taxes or something. It's like it's always those people that they use the system to get to this spot, and then once they get there, and they use the system to get there, and then they want to go like crush the system. It's like, well, wait a minute, you already got yours. Can I get mine too? Can I get mine first before you go on your little crusade? And that's where I find this storyline of Chuck and this like moral high ground and all these things he's trying to do and go after the billionaires when his whole life has been one that was a privilege and elitism based on his father. So yeah, that's another storyline I'm just not buying into at the moment. But anyways, that's about all I got for this one. I didn't catch the I don't know. I don't know if they show it on demand or not, like what's coming next week. So I'll do another episode next week, Sunday morning. See what we got on twists and turns. And it's, does Chuck get Prince at the end? Like, is Chuck going to win 2 seasons in a row where he gets to crush Axe and Prince? At some point, Chuck has to fall. I just don't know when or who's going to do it. Maybe it's going to be Sacker, but we'll see. Anyways, that's all I got for this one. I'll catch you on the next one.